Could that just put him over the edge?
I'm not too sure. I don't think they did well.
He's a bully.
I'm just so sick and tired. I'm hanging on a wire, a foot over the fire, and it's burning. I can feel it inside. Done with the same cliche. Done with the day after day. There's got to be a way. Now is the time to break the tie. I'll live, I'll die for what is wrong and what is right. I'll take the pain for all the ones without a name. To be invincible, we'll be invincible.
They still have a lot of holes to fill.
We'll be
Every
He
time
didn't get fired. He didn't get fired. No, he didn't get fired. He never got his contract renewed.
Woo! How you doing, Evan?
Oh man, we're getting the double action, man. So good to be back. That we ended last season. We're getting some double feedback here, eh?
Are we? Oh yeah, I hear the music.
Okay, guys. I'm not. Where are we going here? Oh, give me a sec here. Come off. Okay, let's see. You know what that might be?
That's your back feedback from our live stream.
Yeah. Okay.
First show of season 5, always going off with a hitch. I love it. Cheers, everyone.
Okay, guys, right now I apologize. I have no idea what's happened. Something has totally messed up on us here.
We'll give it a second. We'll figure it out. Everyone, we're glad to be back. But
yeah,
technical difficulty. Are we going to play the whole Penny Billionaire songs? They're pretty awesome. It's a pretty good album, pretty good song. So I'm not going to lie. It's good background music. But
yeah, but I can't talk when it's overlapping. Okay, what's happened to StreamYard here, man? We got to fix StreamYard.
I hear ya. No problem. There's nothing on my end now. We got to fix StreamYard. We're good. Evan, you want to share? We're good.
Okay, I'm getting in from somewhere else. Okay, no, we're not good. I keep hearing you saying same thing, man. Yeah, this is going to be really difficult because I keep hearing myself repeating. So I don't know. I must have something on my screens.
Should we restart?
Okay, guys, give me a second. You can go ahead and talk, and you can just hear yourself going through. And let me see if I can figure this out.
Welcome. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to Season 5 of Two Guys in Hockey Talk. We are back, baby. We have a lot to talk about in the world of hockey. We've got a lot going on, a lot upcoming. The season has not started, but players have started arriving back in the cities that they played for. So you're starting to see practices for teams getting going, getting ready. The ice is getting ready. All of the logos. It's exciting time. A lot of teams are revealing kind of their finalized rosters. There's still a few teams tinkering because they're a little bit over the cap. But we are excited to bring you all the news. As you guys heard, Penny Billionaires, they're amazing. They are our musical sponsor. They're amazing. Go check them out on Spotify, YouTube. They're incredible. They've got some great big bangers. We love them. Check them out on Spotify. We also want to shout out to Sports Empire, one of our great partners. They have a great selection of shows, all sports related. Everything you want to cover. Wrestling, they got you covered. Football season's coming up here in the next little bit. They got you covered. MLB, they got you covered. Freddie and that whole team, Gene, they got you. They got whatever you need. So you tune in and you check them out. You give them a follow. Also, JR Web Designs, we got a great website. We work with them on getting our Two Guys in Hockey Talk blogs. We've got a lot written. We're getting more through the pipeline coming up. It's great. If you want a web design and if you want a good job and you want to promote your business, yourself, whatever it may be, you get on JR Web Design and you get up there. And you can check out some of the articles that we've been on, plus our live show that goes live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. It's great. We talk all things hockey. We got a jam-packed season so far up to pretty much the new year with a lot of great guests coming on. And we've got some great informative articles about top defensemen. What's happening in the KHL? What are the Oilers doing with some of their young prospects? And Evan talking about his Rev Top 50, because now that the draft is gone for 2023, who's 2024? It ain't Bedard anymore. So we're going to go through that. Evan's got you hooked up with that. Just you wait. And as always, remember to have a beverage. Grab it. Cheers, everyone. Jory, it's a pleasure. Welcome to the show. She's a gem, works for Sports Empire. She's wonderful.
Hey, guys. Hey, so I dealt with listen, this is what's crazy, man, when you get going on. First thing we start off with, this is the problem, but it was my end because I had my window open to be able to show you all the different sites and the wonderful sponsors. And at the same time, I had our YouTube channel opened up. So I was hearing the repeat about 5 seconds behind. So, all right, Jory, Keith, Freddie, man, thanks so much. And again, guys, make sure you get over to the Sports Empire Network. Great group of folks. And you know what I love is that even though some people may not call it wrestling, they actually have stuff. For example, celebrating Bray Wyatt's 5 greatest moments. So they got some incredible stuff. So Pawel's over there. He's got some posting up as well. Check it out for all you folks that love all types of sports. So, all right, let's get into a whole bunch of stuff that we want to talk about this week. Before I do that, let me give you a quick synopsis of what's coming up. We have some incredible guests. So next week, we have Paul Amita. He's the president of Zorcan. They are a sports school and sightseeing tours. He also formerly was with TSN 1260, who is now defunct at the end of the last playoff last year in the Edmonton sports scene, as well as he formerly was also on the local television stations and such. So we're looking forward to having him on. He's got some great takes, really out there on Twitter. The following weekend, we are excited to have Tab Bamford. He is a professional hockey writer. He is the lead writer for Bleacher Nation with the Blackhawks. He's a columnist at the Fourth Period, which all of you are familiar with in hockey. Then on the 27th, we have Nick Zarias. He is a co-host of the Liberty Blue Pod for the New York Rangers. I told you guys, we're going to get some folks in that maybe you guys haven't actually heard recently. Then going into October, we got Hunter Hoodies. He's with Hooked and Locked on Penguins. So we're going to be talking Pittsburgh Penguins with him. Then coming up, we have Tom Gazzola. So this was Pawel's booking. So Tom, if you're catching any of this, thanks for at least giving a shout out here to my buddy Pawel and joining us. We're looking forward. So formerly he was did a lot of work with the Edmonton Oilers organization, as well as he was with Team TSN 1260. I'm sure if he hasn't already, he's landed somewhere else, but we got him booked. And then going into the 18th, we have Jordan Hall of NBC Sports Philly and journalist. So Key, you might actually recognize him. And then we have Adam Proto. Guys, if you go back to the paper of the Hockey News back into the 90s, we have Adam Proto. He was one of the writers and still is a writer for them, and he is with the Full Press. So he has some interesting information that he's going to be sharing. And then we have, her name is Doreen Viatelli. She is a sports reporter for the Czech Republic. And so she has some great information. And then we also have Alec coming back, our first repeat guest from last year. Alec at 5 for Fighting podcast. He was a great read. In the meantime, I have Fixes in right now to talk professional women's hockey, and one of the best in the business right now reporting. We have 3 other guests, maybe coming back from last year, and we have 3 former NHL, AHL folks that could be lined up. They're not all set. So we got probably about a half a season's worth of guests for sure already in line. So I know that's a lot of raving on and going up about stuff, but I also want to let you know that we will be bringing on the Sports Empire Network, some of their hockey folks. So Kyle, I see you on there, man. This year we're making it happen. I'm going to be booking you in. So you'll be coming on just before Christmas. You didn't even know that, bud, but you're coming on soon.
We're just
you
telling Kyle where he has to be.
Yeah.
You know what he is? He's chomping at the bit. And if you guys get that joke, it's because that's his podcast. He's chomping at the bit of being on the show. So we're looking forward to that. No, he loves the Bruins. The Bruins, what are the Bruins going to look like? We're going to go through 32 teams, not today, but through the next little bit.
Yeah,
we have a little bit of time because it's a lot. But we have a lot of topics to get through. So, Evan, I know you wanted to dive deep into some of the stuff. So let's get going.
Okay, man, let's do it. Okay, the talk right now of the offseason was Connor Bedard, right? Coming in, we all knew he was going personal
hair, my beautiful, what's it called, hockey hair.
Well, hey, I gotta say, I like the trim.
I'm still waiting for my PTO, yes, and the beard.
Yes.
I'm waiting for my PTO. Where is it? You know, if Sam Gagne can get a one.
Just remember, getting a PTO is actually a tryout. So not sure that
I think it's BAD for the team that decides me.
Yeah, exactly.
But go ahead.
Okay, guys. So Connor Bedard and Connor McDavid, both at the BioSteel camp, which is made for an off-season training. So that camp has become quite familiar to a lot of folks. They're always trying to get the latest of what's happening. So Connor McDavid was videotaped doing workouts with Connor Bedard, and it raised the eyebrow of a lot of folks who are fans of the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid. Now, here's what happened. They're worried Connor McDavid, as a captain, is sharing his secrets of what makes him so great to Connor Bedard. Pavel, give your take on that one.
Oh, come on. What a silly take. That's the conspiracy theory, hole that you don't want to go down. What secrets is he telling? Is he inspiring him to be a better leader? Did McDavid not learn from maybe leaders like Jonathan Toews or Sidney Crosby of how to be the best of the best, how to deal with, and I'm sure Connor Bedard already knows this, but like how to deal with the media, how to deal with difficult situations, how he's going to deal with a team in Chicago that may not be the best, albeit they picked up some people, Corey Perry, they brought him in, Nick Foligno, they signed him for a 1-year deal. Is it going to help them in terms of getting over the hump in terms of being a little bit competitive? It's going to be tough, right? And especially coming into the league, it's a big thing. If everyone recalls, when Connor McDavid came into the league in his first year, he had a broken collarbone and missed out on his Calder, right? You got to be mindful of how the NHL plays. It's different than as Connor Bedard played with the Regina Senpats in the WHL. It's going to be a different beast. Guys are going to be coming at you. There's going to be physicality. So I think it's a little bit of a nothing, but I mean, sure, if you want to give in to the conspiracy theorists there, Evan, feel free to jump in and share your thoughts, because I really think that it's much to do about nothing.
Well, it's interesting because there are things that Connor McDavid does better than anyone else when it comes to some of his training. But I just want to bring a highlight to people. They've been training together for the last 20 years. People in the old days of the 80s and early 90s didn't want to trade off-season traits, but everybody knows them. Just that certain people are having more success with different stuff. So yeah, if that's one of you out there, just understand it's not a big deal. And believe me, Connor Bedard is not. I remember Yannick Perreault. Some of you guys remember he came in the same time as Eric Lindros. He was a sensational centerman with faceoffs. And Sidney Crosby in his rookie year actually came up to the faceoff and he goes, "Hey, you going to show me some tips? How do you do that? Do you lean in? Do you do this?" And he's asking questions right there on the ice in an actual game.
Can I share a fun story? So there was something when Trevor Zegras came into the league in his first year after winning the World Juniors there and gold for Team USA. So he came in and I guess he was making some bets against the Edmonton Oilers. And when he went to line up against Leon Draisaitl, he's like, "Hey, can I bet you $20 or $50 or whatever the amount was that I'll beat you at the center ice? Like I'll beat you on this face-off." And Draisaitl said, "Who the hell are you, kid?"
Well, it is true though, right? I mean, this is what they do. And if you're smart, you are going to try and pick up all the traits. So anyway,
now I look forward to it, but again, Connor McDavid has big shoes to fill in terms of what came before him. Connor Bedard has what? No, I know. Let me get to my point. Connor McDavid has a lot of shoes to fill. I mean, he's already in his 8th year in the league, 9th year. And Connor Bedard has a lot to prove in his first year in the league. So pump the brakes, everyone. It's not that wild. That being said, it may shock some fans, but Connor McDavid also practices with Austin Matthews in the offseason.
Oh,
In Arizona.
yeah. Oh, don't go getting the Maple Leafs fans going now.
Oh, well, I'm just saying.
Okay, so since we're on before we get to some of your more NHL guys and some of the storylines and things happening, things we're looking forward to, I do want to mention, so you heard off the top about my Revs 2024 NHL top prospects. So over these before the season starts, I'm going to be putting a release out. Some people are saying, well, how do you know? And you don't know. And the truth is, you're right. I don't know. Other people don't know. It's all an estimate of how you follow analytics. So I want to explain something to everyone so they understand whether it's me or someone else. One of the things that I did early on is I watch for growth curves. So if you're looking on the curve bell, right, it does not indicate they're going to be a world superstar, but it is one of the best measures of a great player at minimum. And I'm going to come to this because in a minute, I'm going to talk about Mishkov versus Demidov. However, this requires a continuing growth curve as they move up a level. So each year you got to get better. So hence there was some concerns about Wright not doing as good the next year. But the problem was they couldn't estimate because of the lockout and not actually getting a full season in. Now, if you want to look at that growth curve, all you got to do is look at people like Tim Stützle, right? You have to look at someone like Stützle.
Look, we're back to a routine. I correct you.
So hey, by the way,
in the world.
So by the way, last season at the end, you were sitting there saying how bad I am at names. I didn't even call you out on yours because you say Athanusa. You didn't.
Who's Athanusa?
Exactly. Who is he?
I never said
Athanusia. Athanusia. You didn't even say it, man. You had it wrong. So I guess this year, guys, we're going to go in a rant because I'm going to call him out on every single name. Okay, so let's go to Draisaitl. So Draisaitl, when he was working and playing for Mannheim, in 29 games, he had 97 points. Now, I know at the same time, one of his best friends showed well, but here's the difference. Leon comes to North America and continues the growth curve. If we go back and we look at even someone like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, okay, he's not a world superstar beater, but he is a top 6 player. He's a top 6. So he's a second line centerman or a winger or a top line winger. And the guy only continued to grow. Even at 29 years old, he's scoring 100 points. Now, that's going to be an off-lier. But the point is, there's ways to follow that you can see, and that's how I look at the players. So enough said. Let's go talk about that with Mishkov and Demidov. Right. So a lot of people are making this huge fuss. So whatever you've read, and I've been sharing some on my Twitter, so you can follow me at Revenev, or you can follow Pawel at hockey_2. But in mine, you're going to see me reposting some of the stuff of what people say about the Mishkov Demidov thing. In fact, I'm sure you're going to have an article coming out from one of our writers, Patrick Conway, who follows all things KHL. He's got some great stuff, by the way. So go into twoguysinhockeytalk.com, check out the blog, and make sure you check in there and make it one of your bookmarks. But in there, if you look at Demidov, everyone's going, how much bigger he is, how much this. Guys, he's not. He is not that much bigger. He's 1 inch. And he actually weighs 3 pounds less. But people are saying how he's much bigger and that he's a centerman. That's the difference. And the other thing is
center and right wing. So he can play both sides.
But he is truly a centerman. So up to this date, which we all know, the difference is if you're a winger, you're probably not moving to center at this stage. So, but the difference is if you look at their numbers, up to age 14, Mishkov was behind. But from 15 on, Mishkov numbers are crazy. And even if you look at their KHL numbers playing for the MHL team, you're going to notice the same thing. So guys, calm your horses. Last year, Mishkov only got a handful of games. Last year, there was 2 games for Demidov. This year, there's probably only going to be a max of 5 or 6. And then Mishkov's going to be stepping in. They want to test him before they set him down to their minor system. That's all it is. Work with it, man. Work with it. Okay. I'm done.
That's it? That's your rant?
Yeah. Where you go? Pawel, good man. I'm not a fan of our goaltending situation.
It's great to see you. I'm not going to lie. I'm pumped to see the New Jersey Devils. They are an exciting team to watch. And I wouldn't be surprised if they made some headway this year. They signed Tyler Toffoli to a very cheap contract. They re-signed Timo Meyer. I know how you feel about that, Evan. You didn't like that deal with what he performed.
Nope, still don't. Yeah.
But you know, they're that top six with Nico Hischier, who now, and I'm sorry, Kyle. I know Bergeron has retired with the Selke Award.
Yeah.
Hischier could definitely be a nominee this year. So I'm looking forward to the New Jersey Devils because definitely goaltending is one question. But when you have Luke Hughes coming in, he can definitely make an impact. So I'm looking forward to it. And Jack is just dynamic. He's fun to watch. So it's going to be fun to watch. Now, in terms of Michkov, the debate versus Dikov, what I'm going to say is that it's almost comparable to some light, and people don't harp on me, to the Alexander Ovechkin versus Malkin debate. They each came in one year after the other, you know, but if you look at their careers, both great, possibly Hall of Fame careers, but who would you prefer to take, Evan, on your team? Do you prefer Alexander Ovechkin or do you prefer Malkin? Because I would say Malkin. And the fact that he was not selected for the top 100 players in the last century breaks my heart because he is very underrated. And I know he doesn't sit in Crosby, but he finally had a full healthy season last year. And I'm wondering what the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to do because they're one of the older teams and they picked up Carlson in that massive trade this summer. What's going to happen? But Evgeny Malkin,
that's a good comparison.
He's not a scorer. Yeah. And the thing with Michkov, he's more
he can score, man. He's got a shot on him.
He's
got a snapshot.
But he plays the wings, so you need to have a good center.
No, he's a centerman. He plays Michkov? Wing like sorry. I thought you were talking about Malkin. My apologies.
You're wrong already? Jeez, we haven't even been an hour into the show and you're wrong. I'm saying Michkov. Who is going to be the center in Philadelphia? Maybe Jamie Baskow. You guys can check him out. He's got some great insight into the Philadelphia Flyers organization. Who is going to be a center? Because I know Sean Couturier would be great, but I know that he's struggled with health concerns. So will he be that center for him, or will they bring somebody else up, right? Who knows? Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting.
That's definitely a great point. That's a great point, with that. So, hey, on a side note, I don't know if you know that, but this year, start watching some players and look at their skates. So you've seen some fancy looking white skates and stuff. You know how a goaltender in hockey will have goalie pads to show his personality, he gets to design them, and then he gets his helmet as well. And so that's one of the reasons a lot of people like to be a goaltender. They may not be good, but that's why they like it. Hockey skates, so there's some things coming out. Could there be some fancy little things like they do special jerseys? Could they be doing something with a test run in the AHL with skates where they get to design what's ever on their skate, whether it's a bear for if you're a Bruins team, or whether it's something that represents you maybe as like Ole the goalie back in the day, but something on your skates as a defenseman or as forward. So I find that kind of interesting. It could really show the personality of the players, but I mean, I don't know, man, to get through Bettman and the team, that might be a little tough.
Well, are you talking about advertising and more advertising on skates? I think
not advertising, personality, man, not advertising.
Well, they have colorful skates now. I think Alexander Ovechkin has
design. I'm talking like pictures and stuff like that are designed. I
don't see it being a problem. I don't see why it would be a distraction.
Well, I think if you have something that doesn't maybe blend the team, I'm just worried the teams are not going to like it. You know how
maybe you have parameters of what you can do. I mean, I can understand having parameters of like you have to stay within the team's colors or within the parameters of what's acceptable by each team. That's kind of garnered. I don't know. Like I think you can make it work. I don't see the problem.
Yeah.
Why not have some fancy sticks? But I don't know.
That's true. Okay, Ray, you're saying you get the sense the Devils would prefer a key to have one more year to develop. The move for a goaltender, yes, I 100% agree, Ray.
I'm still sticking to my prediction that Hellebuck's going to the New Jersey Devils. That's my bold prediction for the season by the trade deadline.
So something, and I think that's a pretty safe prediction based on a couple things. Them clearing cap space. So watch if they try to keep being careful with their cap space throughout the year. So they'll have enough at trade deadline for someone like Hellebuck as well. And I could see if they're doing it about 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the trade deadline. But in the meantime, if another player comes available on a team that's dropping quick, because there's no possibility they're going to be able to sign without getting rid of some salary, though. That's going to be the problem. But I could definitely see them making a run, and I think that Hellebuck would like that run for a chance at a Stanley Cup.
I got one more for you, and he's
Hey,
already
Fly.
got more term and cheaper amount. John Gibson out in Anaheim. Keep an eye on him.
Okay, Ray, do you think that would be one that that you would like as a fan of the Devils if they could put something together on that?
I think he'd be a good fit there too, right? Because Anaheim's rebuilding, and John Gibson, whether or not he agrees or not, because I know he's rescinded some of the comments, but he definitely would like to be on a more competitive team because Anaheim struggled last year. So it's definitely interesting. Let's talk, Evan, Toronto.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to know what your thoughts are on Austin Matthews sticking around for 4 more years at 13+ million.
Can I just put that on pause and say something just as an honor? So this summer, we know if you haven't been following, Rodion Amirov passed away. He was facing cancer. There was things that affected regarding tumors and stuff. I just want to say this guy was amazing. We had him on my Revs list a couple years ago. I was really excited to see where his future. And then when the news came out, I don't know, was it 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, about him going through some struggles. This is the thing that they said. He was so thoughtful that he only thought of other people, even though he was quite ill. He did not whine. He would fight through the pain without even saying anything to anyone. And he faced each day with a smile. And, he did all that in his last 6 months, even though he had lost his eyesight. This guy really couldn't even walk. And yet he had that positive attitude. So I just want to say to the family, the friends, the fans, and the people's loss, I feel your loss too. I mean, the guy, I remember, and I might have the name wrong. Was it Alexei Shirnikov? There was another young fellow who was a Rangers draft pick, a high-end draft pick that passed away. I think it was a heart attack on the ice or something. I apologize if I got that wrong, folks. But I mean, when these things happen, and it's in the light more, but sometimes we forget. And I just like to take that moment and remember that as we go into the season. So yeah, exactly. I mean, they're missing an incredible player that could have even put them over the top at an elite level contract. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we're talking about life. So, okay, going from that into Austin Matthews, the contract.
There's no easy transition from that, but we're just gonna do it.
No. Yeah, we'll do our best. So all our love to the Amirov family. So saying that, yeah. So Austin Matthews, man, this guy is so strategic in everything he does. This guy's smart. Now I have no idea. I haven't not followed Austin Matthews off the ice. What kind of degree does he have? Because I'm sure he's got
making a lot of good money.
So he knows how to do his business. He had full intention, fans of non-Matthews fans. He had full intention to re-sign. He just wants to maximize. This guy found a way to maximize his first contract, and he's found a way to maximize his second contract, and he's going to be young enough that he's still going to be able to maximize a third contract. And 30. So,
8 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and you know what? Long as he is what he is today, he's going to be able to max out again, and especially with the salary cap increased in another 5 years.
8 to 10 million in his next contract, which he can take. I mean, I don't think he will. But
well, 8 to 10 million would be like taking $3.5 million now. You know, when you're talking in another 5 years, right?
Saying. He knows.
Yeah.
I honestly think he handcuffed the Leafs as much as Leafs hate it. Granted, you could definitely make a case of like, well, he didn't sign an 8-year thing, but he's still elite for the next 5 years because, as people recall, he's still got one more year on his regular 11.83 or whatever it is $1 million contract, and then it kicks in the year after.
Okay, so that's fair. So let's ask this question so guys, if you're following us right now, so we want to ask you this question. If okay, guys, if Austin Matthews is not worth what he signed for, because I heard you say that he put them in a bad place. Is there any team that would not want to pay him that kind of dollar other than stuck because of their salary cap? Like, which team wouldn't pay him that kind of money? Like, I don't think it's a bad deal.
Most teams would pay him that. Maybe a little bit more if it's a competitive team trying to get, under the cap to make sure that they're competitive in the playoffs.
Right.
The problem is not every team has a superstar that is one of the best goal scorers and has more goals per game than Alexander Ovechkin in the last 4 years. So that's the thing. You're paying for goal scoring, which is a premium in this league, and he can score. And he had a measly 40-plus goals last year, and that was, people scoffed at that, whereas most players to get 40 goals is a big deal. So the fact that he had 60 the year before and 40 this year, that's 100 goals in two seasons, Evan. That's pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm still gonna say right now, people might not like it, but I would put him right now on par with Alexander Ovechkin of 4 years ago. Yes. That's where I would put him as a goal scorer. Right now, the downside is that he has consistently struggled with types of injuries, and it's not all the same, which is good for the Leafs, that we're not talking about back injuries or things that are really tough to come back from. It's just a matter of, fluke, or he doesn't play a heavy game. So some people are concerned about that, but I don't think that they're handcuffed. He's still under his old contract this year. Then it kicks in. I think that the handcuffed was because they, like the Oilers, had planned all their finances based on an increase during the pandemic, and it never happened. And so they ended up in a bad situation.
Sometimes that situation can happen. So that's no fault of the player, of the team, of the league. I mean, nobody expected the league to stop for what it did with COVID. So.
Exactly. So Nylander. So there's talk about a team in the West. It's kind of been leaked that the team that there was possible trade had to do with Clayton Keller and William Nylander.
Don't make me correct you, Evan.
Oh man, you'd love to do that. It's your only chance to be right. So, so I have no idea if it was true or not. There didn't seem to be enough credence to that. There might have been some talks, just like there's lots of talks around trade deadlines. But I don't think that he's looking to go if he does get traded. He either wants the free agent market to decide himself, or if he goes somewhere, he wants to go to a contender. And the only thing that keeps coming back to me, because they will have to do something, and I don't know with their new signings and the new players they signed in the offseason, I keep coming back to Calgary and Noah Hannafin. That's me connecting my own dots and other people talking. There's nothing's valid. Nothing's been rumored.
Well, he's got 1 more year left, so it's not like they have to do anything.
They both have, right? They both have 1 year. That would be the reason,
but
right?
Matthews is done, and they were waiting for Matthews because he was their priority. Calgary, it's interesting, and we're impressed with,
alert.
What?
The Senators have just signed Jake Sanderson.
Oh, big deal. What's the contract?
I just came up on my news flash. So if anyone's looking, you can check it out in a minute. So sorry for interrupting you on the news flash.
No. What's the contract here? You're gonna spill the beans.
No. I don't have it actually accessible. It just showed up on my phone.
$8.05 million per year. AAV.
8 years for $8 million a year. Oh, choke me for a guy that's barely played in the NHL. Okay, guys, I know that's kind of crazy. Oh, man. Okay, Ray, you say, how long are you going to let 4 players take up a huge chunk of your salary cap? Clearly, it's not working. Well, Ray, as I said,
I agree with Ray. It hasn't worked. But you've tried it, and I'm surprised that the only factor this year that they got rid of was Kyle Dubas, because I don't think they re-signed Sheldon Keefe. They re-signed Austin Matthews. They still have Marner, who's up next year, who's going to be an RFA. John Tavares has 2 more years, and no one's trading that contract.
I'm going to say them signing Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi, I think goes a long way.
John Klingberg was another one for a 1 year.
And John, I'm a little
Ryan
skeptical
Reeves
on John.
4 years at $3 million.
I don't like what they're giving, but I think as a fan of the team, if you're talking about a winning team, it's not up to us on the cap unless we're getting excuses because of the cap, right? With it. So, I mean, again, the salary cap was it was what it was because of the pandemic.
Here's my thing, though, and I'm surprised, and Connor Brown is a prime example of this in Edmonton. Edmonton's at the cap, pretty much. I know they had to re-sign Bouchard and McLeod and they had a few other players.
You're not going there, are you?
No. I want to talk about just in general. But they signed Connor Brown for a very cheap contract, very bonus heavy. Why don't more teams who are against the cap do this? Is there something against that? Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there is. Actually, why don't we come back with, I'll just mention it. So next week we'll give them all the specifics. So there is no, I don't have all the facts in front of me right now. So what it is, a player has to have only played so many games to be eligible and so because of his injury, it made him eligible. There's very few players that are available like Connor Brown in his situation. There was one other player this year. So that we need to bring that to light, though. There's not many players that can do that.
What I mean, and I know that criteria that you're referring to. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying pay every player. I'm not saying pay every player $825,000 or $1 million or like Blake Wheeler, who signed for $850,000 in New York for the Rangers, and like that's one of the best probably deals all summer, regardless of how he plays. Yeah, because that's leadership. You can play on the wing, top line, bottom line, whatever. He's interchangeable, right? Just because of how versatile Blake Wheeler is. What I'm saying is that more teams need to get a little bit more creative and be like, you know what, sure, instead of $5 million, I'll give you $3 million, but there's more bonus included, or there's this perk included. I really think teams need to be a bit more smart and savvy when it comes to that, because that's what's needed.
Yeah, and I think that, but to be fair though, just in saying that, I can't believe that 8.05 for a total of 64.4 million as Frank Sabelli.
Show your displeasure, Evan, please.
Oh man,
tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, it's just these.
You're not paying anymore for what was performed like back in the day, like the Drew Dowdys, like the Patrick Kanes, like the Jonathan. For what the future is.
And I didn't like that either. Like, I like to give players, I actually am okay with the shorter contracts, but I wish that they didn't have as much leverage, the players, as they actually have for the teams. Because then,
are you
as fans,
you're gonna cry for the billionaires now, the owners that own these teams. Oh, boo-hoo billionaires.
So just to show you guys the kind of person that Pawel is, all he's thinking about is the billionaires. What he's not thinking about is
the millionaires.
No, you're worried about the millionaires, and then and you're worried, but you're worried about them. And I'm sitting here thinking about the fans, and you have no care about the fans. The fans are the ones who lose out. So when a player moves, I don't care about the billionaires. I don't care about the millionaires. I care about me, the fan, and I think the people that are listening care about that too. They want a player that sticks. So just an offset in the CFL right now in Canada in their football league, they are failing. And the one reason that they're failing is because they're not actually thinking about the fans. Players move from team to team to team to team, and you need players that stick around for years.
The CFL is a beast of its own that needs
no, but it's the same thing in the NHL. Players are moving everywhere. However, Ray says, I just want to win. He says, of course you disagree.
Winning feels good. Just
you know what?
The Golden Vegas Knights, they feel real good this summer.
People that don't understand the game of hockey always disagree. That's just the way it goes. Okay, let's move over for a moment. I had to get that in, eh? Let's move over for a minute and talk about a couple other little things. Brad May. Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard the Brad May story. His son, Tyler, in the last days when he was with the Detroit Red Wings, there was a father's trip coming up. And Brad May would, being an older fella, he wasn't looking to have his dad there. He asked if he could bring his son, Tyler May, with him on that trip. What was interesting, now a lot of people are down on Mike Babcock, but I'm going to tell you, the story goes that Mike Babcock called him and his son to come down to the ice surface on the day of practice, and then let him know that he needed him to bring his equipment. Brad had no idea why. So he got his equipment, and Mike Babcock said, hey, you're lining up at center for Zetterberg and Datsuk. And he got to play a scrimmage for a few shifts with Datsuk and Zetterman. I mean, could you imagine? So I just want you guys to recognize when you call out coaches or people or how bad they are, they're actually pretty good human beings. all you hear is one story. So I just want to bring that back. Oh,
I have a gripe with some organizations hiring certain coaches, and I'm looking at the Lethbridge team that just hired Bill Peters. I don't think he should have been hired on at all. I think there's a reason why some coaches don't make it. There are coveted jobs, 32 jobs as head coaches, and they deserve to be the best of the best. I'm not saying Mike Babcock is a bad coach. I'm saying the way he approached some of the players, including Mitch Marner, wasn't the best of things. And people can gripe about what it was and how he approached it. But when you make your player assess your teammates of how good they did and do that list, that's not the best. Has he learned from mistakes? Yes. Are there greater grievances? Yes. Should he get another chance? We'll see what happens in Columbus, because there's definitely going to be a lot of pressure on Columbus.
Did I hear right?
Say, not every coach is this great human being. Some are hard A, double S signs, but you got to really put the pedal to the metal.
Are you saying some of them are SH hockey stick T?
I mean, look at Joe Quenneville and the whole Kyle Beach situation. It's not.
No.
You can harp on you want.
Oh man, I guess you have insight, do you? You know personally everything that happened in Chicago. You know that you were there in the dressing room. You know that Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews and Duncan Keith, and
you're talking about building a dynasty. What's going on.
Like every other fan, you know everything.
No.
Just like that guy's got a bad attitude. You're not in the dressing room, man. You're not
there.
Wants to
get back in the league, and Gary Bettman has vetoed it thus far, or hasn't really commented.
Okay. We've never agreed. Anyway, I actually wasn't going to interrupt you. I just wanted to say and ask you to verify. Did you call him Mike Badcock or Mike Babcock? I thought you called him Mike Badcock. Purposely saying he's a bad coach.
Worst dad pun ever. From one dad to another. Worst dad pun ever. That is not.
Get used to it, buddy. Get used to it. Rowan's going to grow up hearing all those jokes, man. Listen to your show.
It's going to be bad.
Okay. So let's move over a little bit to talking about the hiring and some coaches. Interesting. The Sharks with Mike Greer. We'll come to the story of Erik Karlsson in just a moment. Before I go there, and you can get us started and lead that if you want. But two guys were hired in San Jose. Ryan Miller is now the goaltending coach. He also finished part of his career there. Thomas Vanek, who was is the amateur scout over the Minnesota territory, hired by Mike Greer. We know that Tyler Wright is out. And Jeff Jackson, new president of hockey operations, has brought his own guys in, even on the video coach. This is a normal practice in hockey circles. And don't fool yourself. It's a practice. We were just talking off air, which we won't get into, but it's a practice to hire the people you know. It really is, right? It isn't just hockey. So when you see that going on, you know what, guys? As much as you like to say it's a fair world, it's not a fair world. So suck it up. Canada's not being held hostage by Bettman. Get rid of your conspiracy theories. But Bettman likes the U.S. teams better. I do believe that. Okay.
Does he have favorites? Yes. You can't tell me humans don't have favorites. Does a parent have a favorite child? Of course they do. They love him equally. But do they have a favorite? Yes, they do. So
I will say this. Being a parent of 3 and a grandparent of 14 now, I will say this. There are favorites, and I tell my kids this, and I tell my grandkids this. My favorite is who's ever nicest to me and likes doing what I like doing. And if you think about it growing up, right, even look at your sibling. If you're like, oh, they favored my sibling, it's probably because you're always complaining or you're always saying, why do I have to do this? And so the kid that sucks up to the parent is actually the kid that's more liked and or gets in less trouble. There's a reason that there's a favorite, man. And in the coaches, there is reasons why these players who are not as good get to be favorites sometimes, or they know them from somewhere else and they trust them. Maybe that's why.
I'm just going to make a disclaimer to the fans here, to people watching. I am never going to suck up to Evan because I do not want to be his favorite. I will continue to drive that wrench forward to be like, nope, this is not something I agree with.
You're the
Ryan
firstborn.
Miller
You're the
is a
firstborn.
has been a great goaltender throughout his career. You know, he's played through a few different cities. Buffalo, one of the bigger ones, but he played in San Jose, you know, and the problem with San Jose is, apart from the rebuild, they really do need goalies, and they really lack any goalie prospects. So I think really that's what Ryan Miller's being brought in to assist with, and really like build a winning culture. And it helps. It helps to have players that recently played the game, know it, can help shelter and bring these kids in and kind of transition them to the NHL. You know, and both these guys have a lot of experience. They bring a lot of character and leadership. You bring that in, you're building a winning culture. And Mike Greer, he's trying to do the right thing and steer the ship. You know, that being said, it's interesting to note that Doug Wilson was just brought back, but for the Pittsburgh Penguins as an advisor there for the organization.
Sorry, I missed that. I was looking
Doug
at
Wilson,
someone
the former GM of what's it called? So he stepped away for health reasons. From the San Jose, being a long tenured, I think 13 plus years as a GM for the San Jose Sharks, has now stepped back because he stepped away for personal reasons, for health reasons, has now been hired on by Kyle Dubas in Pittsburgh. So it's definitely an interesting take, because now this team also traded Erik Karlsson with that three-way trade with Montreal. And so now we have Erik Karlsson finally gone after a great 101 point season for the San Jose Sharks on a very struggling team. So it's pretty impressive. Yeah. Going to an already older but still competitive Pittsburgh team who just lost after the playoffs by a little bit. So the question I have for you is, does Pittsburgh make the playoffs? Are they better with Erik Karlsson? And B, did Mike Greer get enough back for what he wanted for Erik Karlsson?
Erik Karlsson, right? Exactly. Interesting enough. So I actually went back and I checked our last 3 shows when I was doing some clips for our new intro and stuff like that, and some of our arguments that we had to throw them up there. And by the way, guys, if you haven't got to, make sure when we finish off or when we start, check out our clips. And our music is by Penny Billionaire, an electronic hard rock band out of Arizona in Phoenix. They have incredible stuff. Go check them out on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere else out there. So anyway, interesting enough though, at the end of the season, you and I had this debate about the Penguins, because I was saying they are still a competitive playoff team and that they barely missed out. You know, it was just a couple bad games. And that's how I finished the season on my estimate. And now if you take how I believed at the end of the year, and you add Erik Karlsson and you add Riley into that mix, there was a couple other players. We're going to talk to Locked On Penguins there with Hunter over there with the Penguins group. And I think he's going to tell you the same. They are older, which means their space is limited, but I essentially think their window, I don't think they're the upper echelon of competitor, but with those guys that they have right now, if they can hold them together for 2-3 years, and if the cap does go up as suspected over the next 2 years to be able to free up some space, I think that they have a good shot at least getting to a final again. We'll talk about the East not being the beast, in my opinion. But let's put it at this.
People complain about the Pacific being the weakest division, and yet who are the Stanley Cup champions?
So, in fact, let's go back to that next week. Let's go back. Let's talk about the power. Where does the power lie in the teams in the West and the East there? So anyway, so bringing Erik Karlsson in, I am shocked. I am so tired of hearing places in place and we've heard it. We've heard it in Edmonton. We've heard it in even Carolina. We hear all these teams saying, "Oh, we don't got cap. Oh, we don't got cap." The bloody New York Rangers, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they are all finding ways. Everyone said Erik Karlsson was untradeable unless they absorbed 30%, at least 30-40% of that salary. It didn't matter. They got what they wanted out from the contract. I think this was about real dollars to the ownership. That's what I think this was about, because they got fleeced when it comes to getting something of quality for your Norris Trophy winning defenseman. And I'm just going to say this. Kyle Dubas had a good offseason. He had a good offseason in my books. Now, who knows what's going to happen? Does he learn from some of his mistakes? I don't know. But the guy is good at doing business and knows how to work around. And I think a few other GMs need to stop making excuses, and they got to be a little bit more creative out there. So, yes, they got fleeced. Do you think they got fleeced?
I would say that they picked up the better player, the current player that's more active. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, you're looking at the trade still now, how it affected Ottawa versus San Jose when they traded Carlson there for the first time, and how Stützle has turned out. And Jake Sanderson, I believe, was one of the other picks that was involved in that trade. I mean, it was the pick, right, who ended up being Jake Sanderson. So I think Pittsburgh wins in the immediate run, although, you know, their cupboards are a little bit flat, so they're going to need some picks in the future if they're going to rebuild. But when you have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, you're going to compete. My one critique of Pittsburgh this year, and Kyle Dubas, is the Tristan Jarry signing, or Tristan Jarry, as you want to say it. It's
it's like, come on, what's up?
It's the Jack Campbell deal, and I don't like it. It's too much for a goalie that is injury ridden. I don't know if you can ride the hot hand. And they've lost Casey DeSmith, and I know they picked up Alex Nedeljkovic because he's going to be there as the backup, but I don't know if that's good enough to be competitive. And that back end is a little older. The other thing is Ty Smith really didn't work out for them. He's been not good. Ryan Graves is now there, and he was picked up from New Jersey. Ray knows about this. Is Ryan Graves the top 4 guy? Probably. People don't like that contract. I think it's pretty solid. I think it's pretty good. So you've got Marcus Pettersson, Chris Letang, Erik Karlsson, and Ryan Graves as your top 6. Or your top 4, sorry. Is that good enough to be competitive? Right. Most likely. And they also got Riley Smith from the Vegas Golden Knights, who just won a cup. So you've got another
Riley's great
veteran coming in. Is that going to be good enough? But as I don't know if you've heard, Evan, they indicated that Jake Gensel's been injured, and he's going to be injured for a while going into the season, starting the season. So that's a big loss.
Wow. I hadn't heard about the Getzel thing. That is a huge loss. I just want to mention, I know when it comes to the injury part for Tristan playing goal there, one of the things that we got to understand is he has a .914 save percentage. He actually is pretty good. And I think the injuries, when you're constantly coming back as a goalie, whether you're dealing with your hip, whether you're dealing with a groin injury, if it's your femur, any of those things are huge on your lower body, especially. And if it's a back issue, so or even a concussion, because that's another. I remember Ryan Miller was never the same after that concussion. And at least in my opinion. And so looking at it, I mean, he's got over 200 games. He's got a .265 and a .914 save percentage. And I look at that save percentage. The guy has 117 wins, 60 losses. And to get $5 million a year over 5 years, I don't actually think that that's bad. But I think you're gambling because he never played more than 58 games. That is the concern. But
here's their playoff record.
Yeah.
Missed last year. The year before that, lost in the first round. Before that, lost in the first round. Before that, lost in the qualifying round versus Montreal, if you recall. And then 2018 was the loss in the semifinals because they won only one round. And prior to that, they won back-to-back cups. That's a lot of pressure. Yeah. That's a lot of miles on the body.
Okay. But the last 4. Okay, so the last 4. Not the last 4. Sorry, the last 2 are only where he played more than 60% of the games. So that's not on him. The last 2 years are on him, but the previous years are not. He was not their main goalie. That's important to look at. The goalie before that was the goalie who ended up going to Ottawa, then left Ottawa. And who is that? And
Matt Murray.
Yes, it was Matt Murray. And yet Murray won cups, right? And that's the thing. It's so easy to destroy confidence in a goalie, but it's also easy to build them up and see turnarounds. That's why we saw guys like Devin Dubnyk back in the day and different players. So just changing it up, giving them more confidence along the line, I think can make a huge difference, with it. So, hey, why don't we go to a little bit of different news? I'm just looking at our time, dude, and we're down to 6 minutes left in our show.
As always, never enough time.
And
remember, guys, to like, share, and subscribe. Give us a follow on YouTube. Go check out our articles. We want more subscribers on YouTube. Facebook, we're always looking for followers. Give us a follow. Give us a like. We appreciate on this video. It really helps and goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. By the way, unless you've heard something in the last 24 hours, Thomas Tatar, he has
Still
not
not
signed
signed.
anywhere. So
No.
let's finish with this discussion. What teams could look at, like, I don't think he's going to do a PTO. I don't think he's willing to right now. I think he just wants a straight contract. He doesn't want to go through that process. What I've been told is there's a stigma to PTOs because once you get a PTO, unless you outperform your contract or something, you're probably always looking at a PTO from that point on. It's like saying it's the end of a career. And so I really wonder if he's doing everything he can and saying, hey, if there's an injury during training camp or something, does he wait it out? Because if you look at his year, he scored 20 goals and had 48 points last season, and he still has no
For the New
contract.
Jersey Devils, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if Ray's still around right now. But by the way, I just
He's
went
not
back.
going back to the Devils.
Hang on here. I didn't see it. I'm tired of this nonsense about back. He's a great coach, and guys don't want to play for him because he's too tough on guys to pick up. Pick up your girly Nancy. Okay, Ray. So, Ray, what do you think's happening with Tatar? This is one of the things that I'm really I'm really concerned. Like, is there something that they know? Is it just because there's no salary and everybody lined their teams in? And
no, I think he wants too much cash. I think he's not willing to settle for less than probably 2.5 to 3.5 million. I think he's looking for it, and very few teams can afford it right now.
But everybody's going to be out.
Just a top 6 guy or top 9 guy who can score. You look at Vancouver over the cap. You look at Toronto over the cap. Edmonton over the cap. You look at New Jersey over the cap. Carolina over the cap. Maybe Washington, they could use definitely a goal scorer, and they're still competitive to make the playoffs with Alexander Ovechkin and everything going on there. Do you have a fly around you? Is that what's happening?
No, it's over my cap. It's over my cap.
Oh, it's over the cap. Okay. Terrible dad joke. Terrible. So, what team actually has the means? Because teams will sign a guy for $1 million or less, like a Blake Wheeler, but does he want to take that less and play? Maybe, yeah, that's what I think. And Ray is saying he wants too much money for a bottom guy. I agree. Like, I think he wants to play top 6 minutes or at least top 9.
Okay,
maybe
can I ask
think
this?
About, who I'm going to consider? What about Nashville? They could use that extra scoring depth. Okay. Could they go it? And they can be competitive in the Central. Because really, Colorado, they're setting their top 6. Like, think about whoever their top 6 or top 9 are.
Could Arizona be a landing point too?
Winnipeg doesn't like guys without term. They don't like signing guys to just 1-year contracts. They like guys with term.
So well, I think Tatar wants term. Tatar wants term too if he can get it. He wants to solidify.
That's the thing.
So
Ottawa, they just signed. You just made Jack Sanderson. They're at the cap. They don't have the room. So all the Canadian teams are out. Montreal maybe. Montreal's the one team. But
okay, so here's the thing, man. Tatar, I know, Ray, that you're saying he's not a top 6, and I'm not literally disagreeing with you, but what I guess I'm wondering here is the guy scored 48 points and got 20 goals. That's not a bottom 6 to me. That's a guy who's like around a number 6 on a wing. It's just, to get that many points on a third line is crazy. But I actually agree. I think he's the perfect third line guy. He'd be a great guy to give you 35, 40 points on your third line. But he's also not a big guy. And that's one of the things that is, I know, a concern.
He doesn't get injured that often. He's pretty good. He's pretty consistent when it
comes
to that. But another one.
But he doesn't go to the hard places.
Won his 3rd cup and is willing to give up his iron streak, and yet nobody has signed him yet. Vegas hasn't repeated on signing him. The one team that I consider it, and I know that they've been linked to Patrick Kane, Buffalo Sabres. Even though they have high-end goal-scoring talent, they could bring a Thomas Tatar in and be competitive and maybe potentially make the playoffs this year. Wow. That's one team that I could see them competing. Yeah. But there's rumblings, Evan. I'm going to tell you a little bit of inside knowledge that people may not know. Yeah. There is rumblings that Rasmus Dahlin may re-sign because he's coming up for 8 years fully with the Buffalo Sabres, around $10.5 to $11 million per year. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah. The defenseman, Rasmus Dahlin.
It's called 747. It just went over my head. Are you serious? I struggle with these contracts that I think get out of control for cost effectiveness. And that's why there's no loyalty in the sport of hockey, because you have to get out of the cap, and it's just a part, and players know it. They're hurt. They deal with it. Gretzky dealt with it. Other players have been dealing with it since the 80s. It is what it is. And you're stuck with it. So you got to live with it. But I think that this is also why players just say, give me the best dollar I can, and then you buy me out. There's players that get bought out. So they go to a new contract, sign a longer term, get bought out, go to another contract, and I think that few of us know. And so in the end, I get it. You know what? Everything's an estimate. And what you're looking for, man, is you are looking to put yourself in a situation where you're hoping that these young guys like Jake Sanderson for the Sens, where guys,
everyone is looking at the Draisaitl contract and
exactly, and Nathan McKinnon. McKinnon also. Nathan McKinnon was the same on his first contract. Yeah, they're and you know what? That's what happened with Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins back in the day. It didn't pan out like they thought, but they gave them really high contracts early on, hoping to sign them up and that they would be that top line, when really that entire line really in essence would have been your second line on a really good team. And you know what? It is what it is. They were credible players along that way. So anyway, man, we've hit our time today. What do you got to say? Throw your last thought.
I'm looking forward to the season. It's been exciting. I'm happy to be back. It's been a busy and fun summer. I did enjoy the break with the family and just being out, and it was weird not being online on Wednesday nights. It felt kind of empty in my life. So I did miss you, Evan. So let's say that. I'll give you one compliment tonight. But no, it's fun. Please, guys, remember to like, share, subscribe. Give us your boldest prediction for the season. Make sure to write to us. Let us know your thoughts about anything, what you want to talk about, what you want to hear about on the show. People you think would be great to be interviewed or have some great insights. We love hearing from you guys. Again, we thank to all our sponsors, JR Web Design, Sports Empire, Penny Billionaire. They're all incredible. Every one of you make this show possible and amazing. And we're looking forward to an incredible and a very engaging, very insightful, very dynamic, and very colorful, and a very Evan is wrong about everything and can't pronounce one name in the NHL season. So I'm looking forward to that. That's my rant. It's a positive rant, and I hope everyone's enjoying their summer and had a great time. We look forward to getting back to it. I know preseason's starting up here soon, and I'm excited.
I just want to say, if you're following us for the first time here today, just recognize that when we do our content, we don't just talk NHL. We actually do talk more now. We got Pawel. He loves everything NHL. He just focuses on the pros. You'll see me dealing a lot with the juniors, and then Pawel will tap in here and there. I'll talk to you about KHL. I'll talk to you about SHL. We'll both have conversations around those, but we want to stimulate the conversation. 70% of what we cover is NHL because it's what's on your guys' minds. But knowing that we talk all things hockey, we bring sports on for hockey when it comes to ball hockey, when it comes to roller hockey. We'll talk about old street hockey stuff. We'll talk about getting in fights. We'll talk about everything that you guys can possibly think of. So what we need from you, you come on live, we engage with you. We'll have some shows this year dedicated to you guys coming on live, like a call-in show. So you guys can come in, you can talk whatever you want, and we'll give you a couple minutes. We don't
want to hear you say Evan is right. If you're saying Evan is right on the show, I'm going to make sure Evan hangs up.
So anyway, let you guys know it's all things hockey, man. It's been another ring of ding dong dandy in the famous words of Ed Whalen. So in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe. We love you all.
Cheers, guys. See you next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
I'm just so sick and tired. I'm hanging on a wire, a foot over the fire, and it's burning. I can feel it inside. Done with the same cliche, done with the day after day. There's got to be a way. Now is the time to break the tie. I'll live, I'll die for what is right.